the stance that Mitt Romney has taken, I think, is the most scary, because he says on day one that he will charge China as a currency manipulator. Usually, presidential candidates give themselves wiggle room. They make a promise that is a little bit vague as to timing, how it's going to be done, and then circumstances change. But when you promise on day one to do something, you don't give yourself much wiggle room. So if he really does live up to his promise, that would start a trade war. That would be very serious. I think we would probably, in some sense, lose the trade war in two ways. First, China has ample instruments to respond. They buy a lot from the United States, Boeing airplanes.
Treasuries.
Treasuries. So there are a lot of things that they could do in this kind of economic warfare. And that's why President Obama, while he's been irritated and pushing, has been a little bit cautious, but I think rightly so. The second reason we're probably going to lose is that an imposition of tariffs would probably be in violation of WTO law rules. I think it would be very hard to win a case like this. And the reality is twofold. One, China has appreciated its currency enormously. Especially what's relevant is what we call real appreciation, that is taking account of inflation, increase of wages, which have increased a lot in the last 2 years in China. So the fact is they have been responding by increasing their appreciation. It hasn't had, not a surprise, the benefits that we thought. But one of the points, and this is the second, is the main beneficiary is not going to be the United States. The real problem of the exchange rate policy of China is to shift, if they did appreciate their currency, would be that we wouldn't start producing inexpensive textiles. I mean, that's absurd. What we would start doing is buying it from Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or some other countries rather than from China. So our overall trade deficit remain exactly as it is. It just, the bilateral trade deficit with China might get smaller, but the trade deficit with Bangladesh and Sri Lanka would go up. But what matters for our economy is not the bilateral trade deficit, but the multilateral trade deficit. And that's what we should be talking about. And I assume that Romney understands that what's relevant for an American economy is the multilateral trade deficit, not the bilateral trade deficit. So what worries me is that we will start a trade war, and even if we won the trade war, we wouldn't benefit very much. And if we lost the trade war, or in the turmoil of the trade war, we are likely to suffer, and the world is likely to suffer a great deal.
It happened when first the Japanese automobile companies went down, first put in assembly plants, then the supply base moved there, then you get the other parts of that supply chain going, and then Boeing's got a plant down in Charleston. Airbus just announced